Hi, hi. I'm here again with my friend who is an Uyghur, and tonight we're going to discuss about what kind of restrictions that Uyghurs are facing in their homeland, but also in international travel. So you grew up and you spent the first 26 years of your life in East Turkestan.
Yes,
Um, would you like to tell how? When is the last time you revisited? When's the last time you visited back home?
I visited in 2015.
Had life changed a lot
It changed a
uh,
lot.
when yeah, compared to what it was when you left East Turkestan?
Well, it changed a lot. Obvious change was like militarily, as if uh, as if the government moved its military power all to the East Turkestan.
Right,
It was really strange in small villages like outside of city center, like small villages, and they're in neighborhood. The military troops are passing by in a small neighborhoods,
well,
and with also sometimes you can also observe tank following following military truck, and it was really terrifying. And also there's a police car like with that with the police noise, by
with the siren.
siren, exactly, with the siren. They always go through the villages, neighborhoods. They go through all the neighborhoods with that siren, and
Right.
it was really like a war, something. It's like a war coming. Obviously, it was very difficult for my people there to see that
Right.
because they felt it's normal,
You
and
mentioned that even traveling from one city to another within your homeland, or traveling from one village to another was getting really complicated.
yes, it's as if you're applying for a visa to another country.
Right.
And there was a card distributed. They called it green card. Like
Right.
it was really ironic that they called it because it wasn't even green in color.
Right.
And the green card was like after you get like in a police department, after you get checked with the police with your background check, do you have any
Like
criminal history or
security clearance type of thing.
exactly, a politically clearance. Yes,
Mm.
it's like more stranger than that. If you have any family that the government has been suspected on political side, and if you have any person who is like suspicious or has a criminal history, those kind of things are called background check for the
Right.
police there. And if you're clear in any of those things, then you get that pass.
Okay.
And you have to carry it with your ID card because you will be checked in between every town.
And I remember you once shared about your
Yes,
first time you traveled to see your sister out of your hometown.
yes.
And how did you find that?
Yeah, it was my university years and it was my summer vacation, and we used to visit each other. And
Right.
I decided to stay there for a few days.
Yes.
And at that day, a teacher who was on duty to check on in every house in
Yes.
that street. Apparently, they have an additional duty to their job of teaching in the primary school.
Right.
She told me herself that she's a teacher, She's
Right.
also tired of that doing that because I kind of annoyed
Mm.
her
Yeah.
because she asked that apparently my sisters they were told that if they have visitors, they have to report to the police.
Right.
And because I am a family to my sister, I am her little sister, so she didn't find it strange. She
Right.
didn't report. And the
Okay.
teacher was like really uh, accusing my sister, and she was like really rude to my sister, you know, like why didn't you report?
Yes.
And she should be checked up. She is outside of this area. It is a really small area. We were not that far with my sister,
Mm. Yes.
and I couldn't really take it, and I was like, what kind of nonsense is this?
Right.
Why would I be checked? I came to see my sister and her family. I will stay here as long as I want. What's the problem? And
Yes.
why do I need to be checked in the police station? If they have problem, let them come, you know? I didn't accept that. It was really
Yeah. And one thing it's
touched
interesting
my
that you
nerve.
mentioned
Yeah.
uh, that even with the previous Olympics in China, uh,
Yes.
the Uyghurs felt the restrictions a lot harder on them than the
Yes.
general Chinese public. Um,
Yes.
Maybe we can discuss that another time. But you're thinking that something like this could possibly happen with the upcoming Olympics if they were allowed to go on.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it will happen.
Mm.
I I cannot really understand why it has a relation if some Olympic happens in Beijing or elsewhere or Shanghai in China, and Uyghurs should be really controlled in that time. I don't
Right,
understand this, but at the time the theme was like terrorists might acting up again because of this opportunity, you know. Everybody is broadcasting this voice.
right. That Uyghurs are portrayed as potential terrorists.
Exactly. That every
Mm.
Uyghur is a suspicious
Yeah.
and can be suspected by the government.
Mm. And I know the local police started to around 2016, perhaps even earlier, but
Yes,
started to confiscate the passports of Uyghurs on
yes,
the pretense that they will look after them or they will store them in a secure place.
yes.
How has this affected Uyghurs' overseas travel? Um,
Well, it affected if it affected like drastically. For example, I had two university schoolmates.
yes,
We studied in Europe.
mm,
They went back after their graduation and they
yes,
wanted to continue their PhD. Their purpose of returning was like taking a vacation and getting married there, then come
yeah,
back with the
yes,
family. And then they were just went into that mass detention
wow,
and the re-education so claimed.
yeah,
And they were there and we heard that they were like sending short messages, please don't contact us. We can't
right,
contact now, we are studying.
okay.
In a quote, double quote, we are studying. Then they just vanished. We didn't hear from them anymore.
So,
And
so how
they
about
are
Uyghurs that
yeah,
are currently studying abroad? I would imagine that many Uyghurs have their passports
yes,
expiring in the next few years, or perhaps some Uyghurs have already their passports have expired.
yes.
Is there a way? I understood there isn't really any way of renewing a passport outside of China.
Yeah, it's not possible. It's not possible to renew a passport. They are issued a travel document. I think it officially started from 2016
Mm,
in embassies around the world, in Chinese embassies around the world. But in Turkey, it's from like a long time. I don't remember exactly when.
mm.
People don't get their normal passports, but they get a travel document. Only one way exit and only to China. So it's really a big problem right now for Uyghurs in Turkey and the Uyghurs in the Middle East and also in Central Asian countries that are depending more on China.
So what do you think? How can other nations how can they help Uyghurs at this time? If they have Uyghurs in the countries that are the Chinese passports have expired, and now we can clearly see the reasons why no Uyghur in their right mind would travel back to East Turkestan, however much they miss their
Exactly.
families. What can the
Exactly.
what can yeah, so a lot of people, a lot of Uyghurs in the Western countries, they are now basically stuck without a valid passport, and also no Uyghur in their right mind would at this time travel back to East Turkestan, however
Of
much they
course.
miss their families. And so, how do you think? How can we, outside of China, how can our countries help Uyghurs at this time when we have Uyghurs residing in our countries, and obviously we can't send them back to China.
Yes, there are really Western countries. There are many things that Western countries can do for Uyghurs in Turkey and Middle Eastern countries, for example.
Mm,
In Turkey, I've heard that International Asylum Seeking Office already closed, and
okay,
that's one of the problems that Uyghurs are having in Turkey. They're gonna seek asylum to international community while they're in Turkey,
right,
and Turkey is becoming obviously very dangerous place uh, for Uyghurs, and we, there are already Uyghurs that working in Canada, for example,
right,
to open some programs specific for Uyghurs outside of Canada to be able to seek asylum directly towards
right,
the country from that. And this is mainly for Uyghurs in Turkey because there are around 50,000 Uyghurs
right,
and without this ID
mm,
documents. And it's very dangerous for those people. They are children, they are widows,
yes,
uh, and they are like husbands who lost their wives to this regime, to their lost their children, and the children lost their parents. They are orphans from like they lost both parents to the regime,
yeah. And you know of
and
cases like, for instance, when you still have your Chinese passport that is valid for 6 months, so you know that if you want to make any kind of move, you'll have to do it like
yes,
immediately.
before that time, yeah,
Yes,
if you can make a move,
right.
it's really a big problem.
There are also these sad cases like the Uyghur young lady in Japan, Mihrei
Yes.
Erkin, who
Hmm.
was pressured to go back to
Yes.
to East Turkestan, and sadly, the the other Uyghurs in Japan received sad news of her
Yes.
of her passing away, and so she had
Yeah.
um, and so there's a real grave danger for Uyghurs to return back to their homeland at this time.
Yes. It is. It's very. It makes me feel really bad about our situation. It could be any Uyghur who
Mm,
is doing their research, academic work outside of China. This could be anyone. And I returned for several times
yes,
before 2016, and every time I was warned by my own family, even though they missed me so much,
yes,
and they wanted to desperately see me after like years of separation about with distance, and they warned me every time, don't come back, it's too risky to be here and they won't let you go. They were telling me every time this message,
right,
but I didn't think it would be this much. I didn't know all those internment camps, they existed and they were going on for years,
right,
and with my current mind I would never go back. Apparently, this young graduate, she didn't also expect this would happen. Maybe they are just doing some of their jobs. Maybe in her mind it was something
right,
simpler. Just do what they wanted and they come back.
yes,
If she knew that she was going to something like that, she would never go back. I
yeah,
can imagine.
yes. Um, so here we've discussed about the restrictions in travel. travel within East Turkestan, and also international travel, or traveling back to East Turkestan. We would like to continue with these topics, and we would also like to just highlight anything that is out of the ordinary, something that is abnormal about the way that Uyghurs are repressed in their homeland, and how they are also controlled while in exile. But we'll continue with similar topics, and we'd also like to encourage others to bring up testimonies about these abnormalities, even little daily ones, that is happening to Uyghurs in their homeland. But I thank you for your insight, and we'll continue.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.